Hello everyone. I'm here with my friend Legs, who did a run of Dragonheart on the Game Boy earlier today, and we're going to play some Mania. We're going to do essentially an any percent beat the game race, complete the game as fast as possible. And I'm just going to count this down in Discord, and we'll get started here in just a moment. All right, gonna get started in. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to push like 5 buttons at one time, but yeah, we're just about to get started in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is Mania. Mania is a adventure puzzle game for the Game Boy. Central plot is you play as Muddy Mole. Muddy Mole had his wife and 7 children stolen by an evil farmer named Jinby for basically no reason. So the goal is you have to go and get all your children and your wife back. The thing is, at the children are locked away at each of the 7 worlds, and that's going to require playing through 7 entire worlds to get all the children, so we're just going to skip that because it is really slow to go get the levels. Instead, we're just going to go straight to Jinby and fight him and get our wife back and ignore the kids. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of happening right now, but essentially we just need to get through the rooms. We can push objects, pull objects, throw them to attack enemies, and we can dig holes to go underneath certain obstacles. Because we're a mole, I'm messing up pretty bad here. But you can skip a coming up animation when you dig out of the ground by mashing the A button. Anyway, I just did a thing there. So at the beginning of the World 1, there's a little trick that we call the offset, where if you get bumped by an enemy that while pulling an object out of a room, you can get off the grid, and this allows you to sort of be out of bounds. And so if you noticed what just happened there, it happened really fast because I got it first try, but if you go up to the top of the map and you try to walk off the screen, you don't go anywhere, and you can exit out of the menu and you have access to the 8th world. So you can just go straight to the 8th world without any repercussions, without having to fight the first boss or any of the bosses. So we're in World 8 now, and World 8's a boss rush. It's basically like harder versions of all the other bosses that you fight during the main game, but we're not refighting them. This is just the only fights that we're going to get for each of the bosses. This first fight, this is Kangaroon. Kangaroon likes to jump around a lot, and the tell with Kangaroon is to, put this little tack underneath where he's going to land, which you can do on a 3rd hop, which is much bigger than his other ones, but you can also do it on short hops if you're really, really skilled. And that's pretty much it for the first fight. I'm going to go into the second fight now. The second fight, this is Sundus. Sundus is a very creeping-looking sun. You beat Sundus by by basically kicking the sun into the water. This fight is not really random at all. As long as you do the same thing over and over again, you push the sun in the water. And just like that, Sundus is dead. So I'm going into the 3rd boss here. I'm actually going to pick up a recovery item for safety, because this was going badly in practice for me earlier. So I'll be able to use that if necessary later. So this is the third boss. This is Funton. Funton, his whole gimmick is he jumps up in the air, and there's a shadow on the ground, and if you dig a hole where his shadow is, he gets trapped in the hole, and then you can damage him. But with each subsequent round, with each subsequent hit on Funton, he adds another shadow. And so during the interim period, while we wait for him to jump, we're going to be digging around in the ground underneath while we wait for him to come up, because Muddy moves much faster underground if there's already paths in place that have been pre-dug than he does if you are moving in fresh ground. So it makes it easier to get really you can move really far and guarantee that you get a hole underneath all 3 shadows on the 3rd hit. Or you can try, anyway. It came down to the wire with that last one, but that's the same, sort of the basic concept. So that's it for Funton. The next boss is Mad Wrencher. Mad Wrencher is really random, and there's a whole lot of things that can go wrong in a fight like this, but essentially you want him to throw his wrenches into one of the pipes, into the pipe on the side, and have it sort of reflect back at him. It's possible to hit him on that first cycle, but it's very tight, and he won't always throw it in a spot where the pipe can go. It's also possible to hit him 2 or even 3 times in one cycle of the fight, which hopefully I see in the next time. And it didn't look like we got a two hits at once, so I'm just gonna go into the 3rd phase here. It's pretty much the same thing each time. You just push the pipes in front of him, and with that, oh, would you look at that? Wrencher just finished himself off. I didn't even have to do anything. So I just broke a checkpoint. So now if I die after this, I'm going to restart here. This is actually the last checkpoint in the game. And if you die any time after this, you are taken back to the 5th boss out of 8. So this boss, this is Big Mama. Big Mama is... you're supposed to watch her underground, and she has a little tell where she'll go to a location and she'll stop. And that's where she's going to come up when all of the little enemy things are in place. And when she comes up, you need to hit her, but you don't want to hit the babies. They're just there to block the ball. They don't really do anything. So, this fight doesn't really vary. There's a couple of different strats that we use for this fight. Some players don't like to dig holes. I personally like to dig holes on this fight. I also misread that, so I hope I can still get a hit. I didn't. I lost a cycle on Big Mama, so Legs is probably going to pick up some time here. And that's it for Big Mama. So I'm going into the 6th boss. The 6th boss is very different from all the other bosses. It's very scripted. Much like Sundus. This is Sammy Bros. Sammy Bros is really weird. You have the real boss is the guy at the top of the screen who's hanging on to the ball on the other end. And your goal is to basically smash him with the ball by pushing your end of the ball on these little arrows. And then the second of the 2 Sammy Bros is trying to run around and bug you while you're doing that. But it's not random, it's sort of exactly the same thing every time, so if you know what you're doing, then you can crush the Sammy Bros pretty easily. This fight is extremely consistent. Now, unlike the last fight, World 7's fight, Snowman is very inconsistent. There's some patterns to his movement that we have memorized that we can do our best to predict where Snowman is going to be at different points in the fight, but there is a lot of randomness, and it's possible to sort of have Snowman move wherever he wants all the time. So hopefully it doesn't come to just like waiting for him to get in the way, but that does tend to happen a lot. It's also technically faster to break the Snowman into all the smallest parts at once, so that you can kill them basically on a... Like, you don't have to wait for the animation of Snowman to split apart and roll. You can just get it all out of the way at once. But there's not that much to the Snowman fight, really. You just, you hit the Snowman, and once there's no pieces left, the fight's over. I'm getting really bad luck with this Snowman picking a spot where I can hit him, but I did get it, finally. And that's it for Snowman. I'm actually going into the last fight now. Now this is Jinby. This is the farmer that took our wife and kids, and we're only going to save our wife from him. Jinby's movement is really weird. We have a manipulation to make sure that he stays hugging the wall, because if he comes off the wall, he becomes incredibly unpredictable, and it's very hard to avoid taking damage. So we're just going to pretty much try and do this little manipulation and hope that that's enough to finish him off. And it looks like the manipulation was good. So time's coming up just in a second here. Time comes up when you get the when the screen fades to white after touching the cabbage and saving your wife. And that's it. That's Mania any percent. There's children there. Those, I don't know how we rescued those, because we never went to any of the worlds. The credit's actually going to show us walking through all of the worlds that we never went to and didn't solve any of the puzzles in. But yeah, there's Mania for you. Oh dang, that was a close race. I just saw the stream catch up. That's really cool. So, I just wanted to make a quick, small plug for the Mania community. For whatever reason, this game, like, kind of got silly popular, got kind of silly popular in a really short span of time, and so we have a fairly active, fairly dedicated, small community of runners, but the game is extremely easy to run. There's really only one trick that you have to learn, and then everything else is just memorizing boss patterns and getting good luck. It's very fun, the community is really cool, and if you're ever interested in learning how to play Mania and do speedruns of it, speedrun.com/Mania, or the Mania Discord is a wonderful place to start. This game's really fun, and I'd love to see more people playing it. But I think that's going to be all. Good job, Legs. Thanks, Legs, for racing with me. And I think that's about wraps it up for Mania.